Good afternoon, participants. Now we are in the session 3 of day 2. Now I request Mr. Navneethan to take this session. Please, sir.
Yeah, okay, sir. Thank you. Yeah, fine. I think, sir, we have only 30 participants. I think let's wait for 1 more minute for others to join.
Okay, sir. We will wait for another 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay, sir. Meanwhile, I will set up all the environment for the demo.
Please, sir. Please.
Okay. So we will start sharply by 2:35. I'll wait for 1 more minute. It's 2:34. Yeah, okay. So I think hope you can see my screen. I've already shared it, right? So yeah.
Yes.
So remember in the previous session, so what we have done? So we have tried to install the we'll try to install the gateway bridge. So gateway bridge is already up and running. Okay. So and we have network server. Network server is running, and we will come from the starting. Okay. The first thing is gateway bridge has to run. Before that, we have to start the Mosquitto server. So Mosquitto server is already running. And the second thing is you have to start the Redis server. for in-memory database. Redis server is also we have started it. Okay. And the third thing is Mosquito. First one. Second thing is Redis server, and the third is the gateway bridge. So the gateway bridge will be connecting to the MQTT Mosquito broker. So that is the third one. And the fourth one is you have to start the network server. So network server is here. Okay. So previously we have just started network server separately. Okay, like this we have started network separately, but what we can do is we can pass in the configuration parameter as well. So remember we had a configuration file right in this particular location, etc chipstack. So you can also view this configuration file. Okay, so you can go and sudo cat and you can view this configuration file, right? So this configuration file will have all those basic configuration, like configuration for database, configuration for MQTT server, which frequency, whether it has to use European or Indian. So all these things will be configured in this particular TOML file. Okay, so you call it as TOML file. Okay, so you can see all those configurations are given here. So it uses European 868. Anyhow, we have to use Indian 865, but we will use European 868 because for testing purpose we can use it anyway, right? So I'm starting the server, sudo chipstack server. Then you can pass in the configuration file -c, and you are passing the configuration file, right? So if you pass it, you can see uh, starting chipstack network server, storage module is ready server, and connecting Postgres SQL. So remember in the previous session, PostgreSQL is not started. Okay, by this session we're able to start it. Okay, so what you can do is you can start like this: sudo service Postgres SQL start. So when you give this command, the Postgres SQL server will be started. Okay, so that is how you have to start the Postgres server. So there are different methods. It's plain starting the application. Okay, so if you are using Ubuntu system, you can right away start it. So you can see already it is started. Okay, you can also find the status, I think. So it is online. Okay, the port 55432 and this application is online. Okay, fine. So once it is started, you can go and start your network server and also the application server. So even for application server, while starting, you have to pass in the configuration file. Remember previously we have not configured the configuration file. So if you don't pass it, you can see if it will yet start, but you can see no configuration file found. Okay, so this will take the default configuration, but default configuration is not in the expected location. So that's why we are starting the chipstack application server, and we are passing the configuration file with the -c argument. Okay, once again. So a lot of application running in my system. So that's the problem. Okay, so sudo chipstack server -c and your so once it is see, this application actually runs in the port 8080. Okay, so what you can do is you can go to the browser, right? And the application is running in the local, right? So you can go here and you can give localhost 8080. So once you give localhost 8080, I'll just log out for a bit. Okay, so once you give localhost 8080, it will take you to this page. Okay, so here you have to give admin. So default password is admin. So here our network server and application server are not in the server. Both are running in my local PC. Just think of like my local PCs as a server. Okay, so everything is running in the Linux container in my laptop. Okay, fine. So now we are giving the username and password admin, and we are now able to log in. Okay, so after logging in, you will get all these options, right? So the very first option is we have to add the gateway. So if you go to gateway, there are like no gateway added, no device added, um, no active gateways. Okay, and also data rate usage also you have not given what particular configuration it is, right? So in this case, first thing first, we have to go and add the gateway profile. So only after adding the gateway profile, we will be able to add a gateway. So before that, organization, so default organization will be there. Okay, so you can manage tenant. So a single application can maintain multiple organization. Let's say you are deploying in your colleges, then you can have different tenant for ECA, ECB, and ECC. So everything is kind of hierarchy. So in the top level is tenant. Within tenant, you can have gateway profiles and gateway. Within gateway, you can have multiple applications. For within multiple applications, you can have multiple nodes. Okay, so that way you will be creating all the stuffs. Okay, so you basically give the organization name, a display name. This organization can have gateway or not, maximum number of gateway, everything you can configure it. Okay, so once the gateway profile is done, so once the organization is done, next you have to create the gateway profile. So in the gateway profile, we can go and create, like, add a network server. Okay, so first before adding a gateway profile, you have to add the network server, right? So here you can go and add your network server name, simply giving rkmv, uh, rkmv network server. Okay, and you can see the host name and the port name. So our host name and port name are same. It's localhost 8080. Okay, because our network server is running in the port 8000. It's not 880, it's running the port 8000. Okay, just for your confirmation, I will show on which port it is running. Okay, so we can give localhost 8000. Okay, so if you go here and if you see the application server, network server, it is running in the port 8000. Okay, so that is what we are giving over there. So we give some name and give your uh, port address and add the network server. So now we have added the network server, right? And now we can go and add the gateway profiles. So in gateway profiles, you can give some Ramakrishna Mission Vidyalaya gateway profile. Okay, and you can give some intervals 30. Okay, and you can give the channels, enable channels. So default 1 to 1 0 1 2 3 channels will be enabled, and you have to choose the network server here. Okay, so you can, as said, you can create multiple network servers under a single tenant. Okay, fine. So all the gateway will be under a network server only, so it's kind of follows an hierarchy. Okay, first organization, next network server, and within network server you can add a gateway. So create gateway profile. So now we have created the gateway profile, right? Now we can go and add the gateways. This is the third step. Okay, so here we can go and add the gateway. So we can give allow, and before adding gateway, you have to also create the service profile. Okay, so service profile will be available here. Okay, so this is rkmv service profile. Okay, and for service profile, you have to choose the network server, add gateway metadata. So once you give this, your RSSA value, SNR value, gateway geolocation, everything will be added to the data. Okay, and enable geolocation. So if you enable geolocation, okay, what will happen is, if you go to TTN mapper. Okay, so this TTN mapper is a tool which will be able to uh, plot the all the reception, like plot the packets traveling from the node to the gateway in real time. Okay, so I'll just show you how TTN mapper looks. So this TTN mapper, you can visually see how the data is transmitting and how much coverage each node and gateway is able to give. Okay, so if you go to the location of India. Okay, let's go to India. Mhm. I'll zoom out a little bit. Okay, you can go to India, and here you can see the color radar. So if you go to color radar, so what this color radar will give us, so it will able to uh, plot all the region, okay, with colors. Okay, so once again, uh, this browser stuck in the middle. Once again, yeah, fine. So once you click this, what will happen is you will get the range heat map and stuffs and all. Okay, one second. So for this purpose, we need a geolocation server. So once you give the geolocation server, you would be able to do all these localization and mapping and all. Okay, so it's taking some time. Okay, so meanwhile, let it get load. Meanwhile, we will see the another parts. Okay, so we don't need this geolocation enable. Okay, and basically you can give device status request frequency. So why, in the sense, see, if your device is idle, from the LoRa itself you can fetch the device details, like what is the battery remaining battery percentage in the device, what is the sensor data, whether the device is active or not active. So all the things you can configure it here. Okay, so device status frequency, minimum allowed data rate and maximum allowed data rate. So minimum allowed data rate we have known like 0, right? So maximum allowed data rate is 5. Okay, so we can give it like this. And here we don't have to give all these things. 0 means disable. Okay, so here for minimum and maximum, but this is only for ADR. But anyway, we are not going to use ADR, right? So we will put it 0 here. Okay, now let's create the gateway service profile. So once the gateway service profile is created, so now you can go and let's see whether it is loaded or not. And yeah, it will take some more time. Fine. So now we have added the organization, we have added gateway profile, we have added service profile. Okay, now let's go and add gateway. Okay, so we will keep track of all the things what we are doing. Okay, so that we shouldn't be lost. Fine. So the first thing is organization. Okay, first thing is organization. The second thing is gateway profiles. Second thing is network server, and the third thing is gateway profiles. Okay, after that we have to add service profiles, and next we have to add the gateway, right? So now let's go and add the gateway. So here the gateway, you can give some name, RKMV uh, gateway. Okay, and you can give some gateway description, any description you can give, and gateway ID. So gateway ID you can randomly generate. Okay, or else it would be something you can configure it by yourself. You can type it and you can configure it by yourself. So here you have to choose the network server and the service profile. So network server, we are giving this network server. Okay, RKMV network server. Okay, and next is gateway profile. Okay, so we choose this one and we choose gateway profile. And finally gateway discovery enabled, so we are enabling this. And gateway altitude, let's give 400 meters. Okay, you can have your GPS in the phone to find the altitude of your location, and you can give some latitude and longitude. Okay, I'm setting to current location. Okay, so once you give this, your location will be set. And finally you can create the gateway. So now the gateway is created. Fine. So these 5 steps you have to follow to add a gateway, right? So next is application, right? So once you have done this, now you have to go and add your application. So while creating applications, you can create application name, KMV app. Okay, and and your application description. Okay, uh, okay, our application description. And finally here also you have to select the service profile, right? So now you can create an application. So now create application. Next is you have to create a device profile. Okay, so these network server and service profile and gateway profiles are used to mention like what frequency the gateway has to use, like what location, what type of LoRaWAN version it is using, either 1.0 or 1.1 or sort of configuration. Similarly, you have to create an application, you have to create device profiles. These device profiles will have all the details about the device. Okay, so you can create RKMV device profile. Okay, so and you have to choose the network server, which network server it is using. Okay, and also you have to give the LoRaWAN MAC version. Okay, so it will change based upon the device what you are buying. Okay, so 1.0.1 is what the device I'm having. Okay, but basically when you buy a device, they'll be telling like what version it is using. Okay, or you can update the version as well. You can update the firmware to update the LoRaWAN MAC version as well. And LoRaWAN regional parameters, so here you can go, you can choose A or B. So here I'm using A, class A device. And maximum ERBRP 0 means maximum, and uplink interval you don't have to give, you can leave it as it is, right? And create the device profiles. Uplink interval, okay, so uplink interval in seconds. Okay, let's give 5 seconds. Okay, and you have to create the device profiles. So now once the device profile is created, okay, you can see here you can find this whether this device supports OTAA. If it wanted to support, you have to give it, okay, or else the device, whatever the device you are adding under this device profile will not have the OTAA support. And for class B, if you click it, class B support will be enabled. Then you have to give all sort of frequencies thing and all. But as of now, we will neglect all these things. Okay. And payload codec also, you can use either use your Kenny LLP or else you can use custom JavaScript function. It is used to decode the data. So if your data is in some JSON format or else in some other format, you can write custom function to decode the data. So here we are just giving none. Okay. And you can attach some tags in order to segregate or group the devices. Okay, it's a key value pair. So basically this gives all the information about the device, whether what LoRaWAN Mac version it has to use, whether it supports A, B or C, or whether OTA is there and all, right? Now you can go and add your own device. Okay, so let's go to the application tab. Okay, so within this application tab, we can go and add our new devices. Okay, one second. Where is application? Okay, within application, here we have this application. So within application, you can create devices. Okay, so create devices. I'm having a board called SODAQ board. Okay, RKMV SODAQ. This DAQ RKMV SODAQ board. You can give some description to it. And device UI, you will be having some UI for the device, so that you will get by default. And here you have to choose the device profile. So once you choose the device profile, remember in the previous step we have created device profile, right? What LoRaWAN Mac version, class A, class B, all sort of stuff that will be associated to this particular node. And now we are disabling the frame counter. So why do you want to disable frame counter? In the sense, see, sometime in the LoRaWAN network, repeat attack will happen. Repeat attack will happen in the sense, if some LoRaWAN packet is transferred, things like people will capture it and retransmit it again, so that redundant data will come and to like kind of attack the network. So a security vulnerability. So for that, to avoid that case, it uses a technique called frame counter. So for every new packet, this frame counter keeps incrementing. Okay, so when some frame counter number is repeated, or when something is like, let's say now the frame counter has reached 50, now if you get 43 or 40, it will neglect it. Okay, so that way you can use the frame counter, but we are disabling it because now we are experimenting, right? So during experimentation, you might restart the device. Sometime the same data will be sent twice. So for all these use cases, we are disabling the frame counter. Okay, and this option you can disable the device itself, but now we need our device enabled. Okay, and you can create the device. Okay, so once you create the device, right, now you can go here activation. So here OTA is not there because our device profile we have not given OTA, but if you go and choose OTA, the OTA there, then you will get OTA enabled. But now let's go for ABP, activation by personalization, right? So here you can go and generate new keys. So this is a key. It's a 32-bit key. Device address, 32-bit device address, 128-bit network session key, and 128-bit application session key. And frame counter we are just leaving as it is, and you can go and reactivate device. So once you reactivate device, you will be generating all these keys. Okay, so you can use all these keys to add a node to LoRaWAN network. Okay, so create an application, create device profile. Okay, and finally create device. So all these steps is involved. Okay, create device profile and create device. So create organization, create network server, create gateway profile, create service profile, and add gateway, add add gateway. So here it's add device. Okay, and here it is create. Okay, okay, so it is create. So you have to follow all these steps, right? Okay, fine. So once you have created all these keys, now what you can do is now you can go and feed all these keys to your actual device, right? So, and once you have added to it, and now you can go and check your data in the device data or in the LoRaWAN frames part. Okay, LoRaWAN frames will give you live LoRaWAN frames, but those frames will be encrypted. Remember, we have seen about the network session key and app session key, right? So it will be data will be encrypted. Okay, but in the device data, you will get the actual data, actual decrypted data, right? So now let's go to the code part, right? So what you have to do is you have to let's use Arduino. Okay, so you can go to Arduino IDE, right? Now Arduino IDE, you can go for tools, not you can go for sketch and include library, and you can go for manage library. So in the manage library, you can add your devices, like what are all the, you can add your libraries, right? So it might be a TTN library, it might be SODAC library, whatever the library if you need, you can install it over here. Okay, let it get loaded. I will add the TTN library. Okay, so yeah, so here you can go and search for TTN. So once you search for TTN, you will get the TTN library. You can install it, or else you can download the zip file and you can add it to the ordinary Arduino library. Now let's install TTN. TTN. Okay, so TTN. So once you create TTN, you can see it's taking some time. Okay. So go to Arduino, go to library manager, right? You have to search for TTN. Okay. So once you search for TTN, you will get the things network. Like you can see here, Kenny LLP, or else the TTN ESP32. For all the stuffs, you will have the libraries. Okay. So the things network, I think. The library. So that library I've already installed. Okay, let's close this. I've already installed. It's taking more time. Okay, so we can go and search for the Things Network Arduino library, or else the SODAC library, and you can get it installed. Right. Okay. So now let's go to the, once you have installed the library, now we can go to the file. Okay, file examples. The file examples, you will have basic blink, digital read and analog read and all. If you scroll down, okay, there you will have the things network. So in the things network, you will have the code uh, send ABP or send OTAA. Okay, so these are all the simple two methods to get started. So let's check ABP. Okay, so if you go here, ABP, it has the inbuilt library. It will ask for the device address. So what you have to do is you have to copy the uh, device address from here uh, to here. Okay, from here to here. And network session, you don't have to give the space, you have to remove all the spaces. Okay, and next copy the network session key and paste it over there. Okay, so that will be the second thing. So basically now we are doing ABP. You will be copying all the three keys to your code. Now let's copy the network session key. Okay, let's paste it here. And third is application session key. Copy this and paste it here. Okay, so you have to remove all the spaces. Okay, so even here you have to remove all the spaces. Okay, once again. Okay, so even here also. All right, so now we have three keys added to the code. So here you can see you have two serial port, which is serial 1 and serial. So how things are designed is, see, from your Arduino IDE, from your system to your board, it uses the serial, the normal serial interface. Okay, and the board is connected to the LoRaWAN chip. Okay, so that uses serial 1. So here we have like two serial communication, one between your laptop and your microcontroller, and the serial one between the microcontroller and the LoRa module. That's why we are using two serial interface. Okay, and here you can see you are creating a new object, TTN, and passing in the LoRa serial and debug serial and frequency plan. So frequency plan, they have given replace me. So here we can use TTN European 868. So that's the frequency that we'll be using, right? Okay. So you have all the keys are set up. You have two serial interface created. Okay. And now we have chosen the frequency plan 868. And now we have created a new object instance for the TTN class. Okay. And now in void setup. So remember in Arduino, you will have two blocks. One is the void setup block, another is the void loop block. So void setup block is run only once to use to initialize all the parameters. Okay. You can see LoRa serial.begin and debug serial.begin. So these are all the two things we are given, right? So this will initiate the serial communication between the microcontroller and the LoRa module. And this will initiate the serial communication between your laptop and your microcontroller. Okay. And it will wait for some time to all the synchronization to happen. Okay. And now we can go and connect it. So ttn.personalize. Okay. So this ttn.personalize is the command for ABP. Okay. And the same thing if you see OTAA. So let's open this OTAA as well. I'll go to examples. I'll go to example and Things network. Okay. And send OTAA. So if you open OTAA, all the code will look kind of similar, but instead of having device address, network session key, and app session key, you will have the app UI and app key, and everything is same. But here, instead of connecting using the ttn.personalize, you'll be directly using ttn.join. So here you have to give the app UI and app key. Okay. So once it is done, and join request will be sent to the network server from your device. So once the join request is sent, it will check for the device address, network session key, and app session key, and it will allow the device to join the network, right? So once the join is accepted, it will send an acknowledgement. Okay, I have accepted your join request to the server. So once it is accepted, yeah, that is void setup is done. Next you can move on to the void loop. So this void loop block will be keep on running. It's like a while loop. It will be keep on running again and again and again, right? So here we are just debug serial dot print. So this will uh, just to let us know that it is running in a loop, and our payload is just 1 byte. Okay, so it's just 1 byte. So here we are sending 0 or 1. So there will be an built-in LED in the Arduino module. Okay, there will be built-in LED. So if it is high, then we make it as 1. If it is low, we make it as 0. And ttn dot send bytes. In send byte we pass in the payload and the size of payload. So that's all the code that we have to do, right? So now we can compile it. Okay, so it will take like a few seconds to compile. I'll wait for a few more minutes. Okay, a few seconds. It will not take much time. It will compile quickly. So once the once the code is compiled, we can flash the code. Okay, so here I have a board. Okay, so that is Sodak board. Okay, you can see COM8, that is Sodak Sara is connected, and the board I have chosen is Sodak Explorer because it's an Explorer board only. Okay, and now you can feed in the code. Okay, you can um, flash the code into the board. Okay, so once you flash it, it will again compile it and again try to flash the code to the board available over here. Okay, so meanwhile I'll just turn on the camera and show you the board as well. So yeah, I think camera should be visible. So this is the node gateway. So, and here you can see we have the module here. Okay, so this module, you can see it's a battery operated with button cell. Okay, and it is connected through USB through my laptop. Okay, so gateway is there and my node is there. Okay, and the code is uploading, right? So I'll wait for some more time to get it uploaded. I'll stop the camera. Okay, so once the code successfully uploaded to the board, you can see the blink operation in the board. But as the board blinks, you can see the data 1 and 0 is uploaded to the LoRa server. Okay, so that is the code what we have written here. Okay, I'll wait for a minute. It's taking more time. Okay, I'll try to upload one more time. So this is how ABP and your OTA works. Okay, so let it get upload. Meanwhile, we will check other things, right? So okay, so once it is done, what will happen is you will be able to see the live LoRaWAN frames here. Okay, so these live LoRaWAN frames will be sent from the node and will be received by the gateway and will be available over here. Okay, but now what we will do is, see, remember we have gateway here. Okay, but we have not yet configured our gateway to connect to this server, right? Because gateway configuration we have not done. So for that, what we will do is, for for uh, for our demo purpose, we will stop all these servers. So this is how to install the custom no LoRaWAN server in your PC. Okay, so you will have the LoRaWAN chip stack network server. I'll stop it. Okay, and I'll close it. And next is next is chip stack application server. Okay, I'm again stopping it. I'll not close it. If we need further, we can use it. And next is gateway bridge. Okay, even this gateway bridge, I'm trying to stop. Okay, I'll just stop the gateway bridge. Okay, so you can terminate the server. Okay, and the next is we don't need Mosquito, and also we don't need Redis server. So all these things we have stopped, right? But now what we can do is, remember, we have our uh, Raspberry Pi, right? So this Raspberry Pi OS, the Raspbian OS, which is provided by the chip stack, it has both the ability to connect to a TTN server, and also it can connect. It has a inbuilt chip stack server on its own. Okay, so that what we can do is, uh, the connection refused once again. So we are getting into the Raspberry Pi, and here you can go and go for gateway configuration. So gateway configuration, like Raspberry config, you can go and config gateway, sudo gateway config. Okay, sudo gateway config. Here, if you see, initially we have set our LoRa concentrator to TTN. Now we can go and set up the RAK LoRa concentrator to point to the chip stack. Okay, so let's go there. Sudo gateway config, and you can go here, and initially it was TTN, but now server is chip stack. So if you give server is chip stack, you can give the channel configuration here. Channel is, I'm using European 863. Okay, you can mention that. Okay, so I think it's hanging up like hell, because a lot of things are running in my system, server and Zoom and all. Okay, fine. Let's once again configure it. You can go here, server chip stack, choose the configuration plan, choose the European. Okay, and set the IP address. And once you set the local IP address, it will restart the server. Okay, you can see packet forwarder has been restarted. So this LoRa gateway, what I have showed in a few minutes ago using the camera, we can either connect it to the TTN server, or else it has inbuilt chip stack, right? So now we have configured the what now we have configured the chip stack, right? Now what we can do is you can find the IP address of the gateway. So IP address show, you can see the IP address is 103. So here, see here, it is 192.168.0.103. So that is the IP address of our gateway. So you can right away open this gateway IP address, okay, to access the chip stack. So here you can see it is localhost, right? So that we have stopped. If you reload this, you will not get it. It will throw an error. Okay, you can see it is keep on reloading. It will throw an error. Now let's what do is, now let's open the chip stack in this IP address. Okay, 103 and 8080. So this is our uh, server from the Raspberry Pi gateway itself. Okay, again same password, admin. Okay, and here we already have the gateway profiles. So if you go to gateway profiles, default gateway profile channel 123, and organization is chip stack organization, can have gateway and all. And if you go to service profiles, okay, so this service profile will have like all the details about the class names and stuffs and all. Okay, so we have this service profile, default service profile, and let's change it, add gateway metadata. We don't need geolocation and all, and we don't need all these stuffs and all. Update service profile, and now we can go and create device profile. The device for ABP and OTA, there are two different device profiles. ABP, LoRaWAN MAC version 1.0.2 A, to users class A, and it has all sort of things. And finally, we have added a gateway. The gateway is default because the gateway itself has the what, as a GPS module. It has by itself has calculated the coordinates and altitude 450 meters. Okay, and no frames received so far, right? And it has all the gateway configuration, everything over here, right? And finally, go and create your application. Okay, so here it is application. Let's create a simple application over here, and app. Okay, now we have created the Sodak app. So we also have rack dev. So this is for RAK module, this is for Sodak module. Okay, so Sodak module, you go there, and you can go and find the activation. So we have already activated the, okay, so now we have already created all these keys. Okay, so these are all the keys which we are supposed to enter over here. Okay, so that is what we have been supposed to uh, enter over here. Okay, now let's copy them. 01 2D, I think I have added in another program. I think it should be already available. One second. One second, I'll close this. Fine. So I've already added it in another program. So here it is send APP. You can see 6E2D. So 6E2D and 51EE 7980. 51EE 7980. So we are like network session key and app session key. We are placing it in that particular position. Okay. And now we are giving the frequency. We have configured our gateway as European 868, and everything is same as follows. Okay, so now let's choose the board. Okay, and we will try to feed in the data. Okay, so yeah, so sketches maximum byte exceeds. Sorry, once again. Why maximum byte exceeds? So we have all these things uplink here. Okay. Okay, I'll open a new program. which is SODAC uplink. So here we have RN2483 and the same address has been added over here, 2D6E. Sorry, once again, let's open this. Okay. Okay, EE and network session key is EE and application session key is 8D. Okay, fine. So let's use this SODAC RN2483 module. Okay, let's compile it. So once it gets compiled, we can upload the code to our model because that is occupying more memory. Let's use this code. It should give done compiling. Okay, so it's done compiling. Now we can uh, flash the code to the device. Okay. I'm getting port busy debug run console port name 8 port busy. Okay, I'll just reset the device one more time. Okay, just reset the device and flash again. I'm unplugging the device and connecting it in a different port. Okay, now let's check. Okay, so same port and Explorer and programmer. Now let's try to flash it. So I'll explain through the code what will happen. So here again, same device address, app session key, network session key we are given. Okay, I've commented some previous codes for my purpose. And here, if you see void setup, again it is LoRa serial dot begin. Okay, so LoRa serial dot begin, you have to pass in the default baud rate, and here you can set the spreading factor. You can see set the spreading factor to 7, and also you can set some MAC parameters, change the duty cycle for channel 3 to 9, right? So we have not seen about duty cycle yet. Duty cycle is how much airtime. So you can go here and duty cycle TTN. Okay, so if you go here, this duty cycle is once again TTN. Okay, yeah, so here if you go to things network, so here you will have the details about the duty cycle, right? So let's take up for particular time. Okay, so a single node can accommodate the airtime for a particular time only, but that regulation is not in Indian frequency. For Indian LoRaWAN for 867 it is not there, but in Europe countries and in US your duty cycle has to be there. Like if you give 3% or if you give 9% and 10%, for the entire one time window, it is able to occupy the airtime for only 10%. Okay, so you can see uh, this uses 48% duty cycle. It can use every band for 40% of the time, and you can see the maximum duty cycle 1%, 1%, and 0.1% and 10% and 1%. So it depends upon the number of channels and also the region. Okay, so here you can see the T10 enforces a fair access policy and uplink airtime of 30 seconds per day. Okay, so for the 24-hour per node, so only 30 seconds of airtime for the entire day, so that if you are transmitting a data and it takes half second, and then you can send 60 messages per day. Okay, and if some messages is taking 3 seconds to transmit, then you can send 10 messages per day, and if it is taking 2 seconds, then you can send 15 messages per day. So that is the fair usage policy for 1% duty cycle, but that is not in India. Okay, so and also you will be getting only 10 messages for per node for downlink. Okay, so we can configure. So when the let's say 20 percentage, you can see 1 2 3 4 5, it is 100 percentage. For 20 percentage, if it is accessed, for remaining 80 percentage it will be passed. So this device cannot communicate the radio channel, so that way it will try to block it. Okay, and if you're giving 40 percentage, for the 40 percentage of the time, it can take the air, it can utilize the air time. Okay, for the rest of the time it has to be idle, or it has to be stay past. Okay, fine. So that is what duty cycle. So yeah, for different channels, for different channel, for every channel you can give the duty cycle. Okay, now let's get back to the code. Hmm. Not this one, this one. Okay, so here we have it's still uploading. Okay, so here we have spreading factor and duty cycle you are set to 9. Okay, and yeah, you are giving initialize ABP. Okay, you are giving LoRa serial, device address, app session key, network session key, and once the connection is success, and you can go for void loop. So in void loop, what we are doing, we are just randomly for every 5 seconds. Okay, we are just randomly sending some data. So this is, you can see the LoRa B dot send, and this
Navneet,
is,
excuse me, sir.
yeah, yeah.
Sir, your voice is not clear.
Hello, is it clear now?
Yes, sir. Yes. Now
Okay, okay, fine. Yeah, yeah, fine, sir. It might be the internet is slightly unstable. It's all right. It's back right now. Okay,
okay.
fine. So here again, you will have the loop function. So this void loop function will keep on iterating and will sending in the data, right? Okay, so here test payload. The test payload is where it is. Test payload should be on the top, I think. Okay, so this one, so this is our test payload. So all the data sent through in and around the network is hex data. So even if you have one or hi or hello, you have to convert it to hex data. So let's say you wanted to you wanted to send hello. Okay, so there you have to uh, ASCII to hex. So you have to use an ASCII to hex converter. Okay, uh, uh, either you can use it custom converter using in the Arduino code, or else there is in the LoRaWAN itself, in other packages you can send a string. Okay, so when you want to send a string or some number, let's say 30 or 40, that ASCII to hex code conversion will be automatically happening. Okay, let's use hi. Okay, so if you use hi and if you convert, it is 68 and 69. Okay, so let's go here and change this to uh, let's comment this for our reference. Okay, and in the bottom we let's add 0x68 and 0x69. So that is the data for hex. Okay, and on the another side we will be decoding the hex data. So you can see hex to binary. If you convert like hex to ASCII, so the same converter will be there, and you can convert the data back to its original form. Okay, so those logic you have to implement using Arduino, or else in certain libraries, let's say you are using TTN and all, it will be default available. Okay, fine. So now we are sending this data, and what else is there? All MAC parameters is set, and a while loop for every 5 seconds, sleeping for 5 seconds before sending the test packet. It will send 10 packets with 5-second delay. Okay, and you will get successful transmission. So you will get the response acknowledgement. If you get no error, then successful transmission. No response, there is no response from the device. Timeout, connection timed out. Okay, and payload size error. So if your size is more than the bandwidth or more than the data rate, you will get the error. And internal error and busy, if the network is busy, you will get this network fatal error, network connected error, and acknowledgement error. So if you don't get the acknowledgement, you will get all these errors, right? So yeah, so it's still uploading. I don't know why it is taking so much time. I'll compile again. Okay. So meanwhile, let's check how to build a front end. Okay. So front end is, see, now you have created your application. Okay. So we have your application, and you have your once again I'll show this meanwhile. Okay. So now we have created the server, we have added the gateway, and we have configured all the parameters. Now let's create integrations. So from your application, okay, this application app, you can create integrations. Okay. So integrations, you can give create, and you can select the integration. It might be an HTTP integration, InfluxDB integration. You can directly persist the data into InfluxDB, or else create a thingsboard.io integration. Okay. So this three integration you can do. Let's do a simple plain integration. Okay. So here we are using nothing, but what will happen is when data is transmitting within the network, okay, everything is, as I said, everything is following the MQTT protocol. Okay. So what we can do is, so this is already in the Pi gateway. You can give mosquito. Okay. Mosquito, MOSQITO underscore sub. Sub means subscribe. Okay. Mosquito underscore subscribe. And given the topic is, we are using the hash. Hash means listen to all the packets, and we can give -d verbose to print all the stuffs. So once you run this particular command, okay, what will happen is this particular client will be looking for all the packets traveling in and around the system. Okay. So whatever the data incoming or whatever the data outgoing, you can see there is some gateway status is coming. Okay. Gateway status, you are getting the IP address and some data which is not in the proper readable format, but we will try to decode it. Okay. So and again, if you are trying to connect from outside, okay, what you have to do is you have to give this, and you have to give the host. Host is 192.168.0.103. That is the Raspberry Pi IP address, and you have to give the port address as well. Okay. Port 1883. I think capital P, I think, because small p is used for password. And again, you can give the username also, username new, and you can give the password root like this. Okay. But we have not configured username and password, but we have IP address and port. This would also still work because password is not set. I think you have to use small p, I think. So that way you don't have, if you are connecting from a different system, different network, or else in a different device, then you can provide the host address and the port address as well. But here we are connecting using the Raspberry Pi itself. That way we can directly just give mosquito sub and the IP address. Okay. Again, you can connect this way as well, right? So now let's try to build a front end application. Okay. So I will not go further detail into the front end application, but I will show how things work. Okay. So now let's go to this front end application. I'll try to open it. Okay. So it's an Angular JS application. So you would have heard about Angular or React JS and all. Okay. So uh, those frameworks are used to build front end apps. Okay. So this is our application. Okay. So it has a lot of things. I'll show you the core component alone. Okay. I'll close all the code. I think I'll zoom in a little bit. 1 minute. I'll close all the code and I'll zoom in a little bit. Okay. So basically it is a simple Angular application. Okay. So here you will have the source files. In the source file, you will have a lot of pages. Okay. Just think of it like different pages. So here you have a routing module. So in the routing module, you have a default route. So this is default route. So this and all, like in website, you will be having like a www.facebook.com/profile or slash login slash home, like that, right? So similarly we can have a, this is empty default URL, and we are giving this MQTT dashboard component. So this dashboard component, it what connects to the LoRa application server and fetches the data for us using MQTT. Okay, let's go to that. Okay, it's MQTT dashboard component is available in MQTT dashboard component. You can go here, MQTT dash it here, and you can open the MQTT dashboard component. Okay, so when you read a particular data, okay, your data will be in the format like this. Okay, so you will get the application ID, which is 1, and application name, which is app, and device name, which is SODAC1, and device UI, which is this particular external unique identifier. Okay, and you will have your MAC address and RX info. So this is RX info data. Here you will get MAC address, RSSI, signal to noise ratio, name, latitude, longitude, and altitude. All these three data you will get, and TX transmit, like TX info. You will get the frequency, in what frequency that device has transmitted, and data rate. So this data rate, if you give uh, 0, no, if you give 7, then it is spreading factor 7, right? So if you give 0, then it is spreading factor 12. So it is kind of vice versa. I think the data rate is 5, I think here. Okay, so you can give data rate, modulation is LoRa, bandwidth is 125, spreading factor is 7, okay, and adaptive data rate is false, and coding rate is 4 by 5. So all these configuration, if you give data rate 0, it will be auto configured. It is like this. Okay, so data rate is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and for spreading factor will be vice versa. Okay, if you give 0, it will 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. Okay, so let's say if you are using spreading factor 7, then your data rate must be 5. So it gives more bandwidth. You can transmit more data, high data rate, but here the spreading factor is 7, but it can give only short range. Okay, so just for teaching, I told you, let's comment it. Okay, so this code is written in TypeScript. It's a form of JavaScript. Okay, so this, don't never mind about these things at all. It's just a front-end application. You are connecting to the LoRa server, LoRa app server, to fetch the data. Okay, so this will be the sample RX format. This is how you will get the data from the LoRa server. Okay, fine. So now let's go to the bottom. Okay, so this is the data. This is the encrypted data. Okay, so this is encrypted data, but it is base 64 encoded. So let's see what this data is. Okay, you can go here, base 64 decode. Okay, if you go here in base 64 decode, let's paste the data and see what it is. Okay, and if you give decode, if you give 1 second, I'll click decode. You can see the data is water level 238. So that is the data what we are sending from the device. Okay, so that is what we have configured. Okay, so this data is water level, once water level is 238. Okay, this is a sample data format. You will get the whole data. You will get the whole data for every single packet. You will get this entire information. You will get the data. You will get the frame counter. You will get the frame port. You will get the TX information, and you will also get the RX information. Okay, so RX information like the gateway and which gateways latitude, longitude, altitude, and the RSSA and SNR for the reception from node to the gateway. Right. So after configuring all these stuffs, right? Now let's write a simple front end UI to view the data. Okay. Now let's go to the front end. So this is another payload. Okay. This is another payload with a different format. Okay. Let's neglect all these stuffs. Let's go here. Okay. So here you can see we have added a line called mqtt.observe. Okay, so this mqtt.observe will connect to this particular topic. Okay, So here the actual thing is application. So here you are supposed to add what? The hash. If you give hash, all the data will be passed to this, like will be captured by this MQTT service. But here we are giving this format. What this format is, this is application. Here either you can give application ID. Here we have only one application. We can give application ID as 1. Okay, let's give 1. Or else if you want data from all the application, you can give 1. But if you want data from all the application, you can give plus. So even if you have multiple application, the single service will able to fetch the data from all the application. And within application you will have devices. And again, if you give the device address here like ABCD, only one device data will be fetched. Okay, but if you give plus, all the data will be fetched. So the line is for all the application, fetch all the device data. So once you're on RX, so this is the RX information you will be getting over here. Okay, so like gateway, gateway address, event and stats, you will be getting what? Application plus device plus plus the RX, everything you will be getting. Okay, now if you give subscribe, so whenever I think most of you know how MQTT works. So MQTT is a publish subscribe model. So if you have subscribed for a particular topic, whenever there is an incoming data, you will be receiving that particular data. Okay, so after receiving the message, you can see you are decoding the message, you are doing the JSON parse, because this data is in JSON format, you are doing JSON parse. Okay, and we are just console logging the incoming data, and we are converting the data. So this ATOB, this function is responsible for converting the base64 data into normal text format. Okay, so that's you converted, and you finally you write a certain for loop like 2 for the visual. Okay, so we are doing all sort of things to view it over there, right? So now let's save it. Okay, now how to start this application? You can go here and here. Okay, go to open the command prompt. It's an Angular application, Angular JS application, front end framework. Okay, so you can go to command prompt and you can start the application. So in order to start the application, you have to run the command uh, npm start. Okay, npm start. Okay, so once you give npm start, so the application will issue the command called ngserve. So the server will be started, and your dashboard application will be visible in your browser. Okay, so once again let it get loaded, right? So meanwhile we'll go and check the code. So we have all these things, and we also have the front end HTML code. So this HTML code is responsible for viewing the data. So here you have LoRa packets, and uh, you are iterating through the LoRa packets and viewing all the data, right? So that is what happening in this. Okay, so let's go to the console again and see whether the application had started. So in the LoRa packets, you have application ID, you will have the app, and you have the 6766, and also you will have the device address here. Okay, it is just a sample data, and device name is SODA product 1. So this is just sample data, I'm writing it by myself. Okay, and gateway ID and location, everything we have, right? Okay, gateway name is, we have given RKMV gateway. That's the data what we are given, right? And once the server started, you can see it is 11%. It is just front end application. You can write simple HTML, CSS, or else you can use any open source Android apps. But here we are trying to build the application on our own. Okay. So now once you compile the code, you would be able to see the data in the browser. Okay. So once again, it's almost 64%. We have 30 more percentage. Okay. Usually it will not take this much time, just because Zoom is running, video streaming is happening, server is running, it was taking so much time. Okay, so once it is started, it will tell you, okay, successfully compiled. you can go to this URL localhost 4200 in your browser. So open your browser on this particular link. So let's go to the browser. Okay, and let's go here and localhost 4200. If you run this particular, open this particular URL, you can see you can get the actual data over here. Okay, so the data is KT app, and once again it has to reload. It's previous data. Okay, so it has to reload. Okay, it's reloading. Okay, so here you can find the data, we are getting the 6.7 and 6.9. So which is the message for high. Okay, so for high we are getting 6.7 and 6.9. So that is the data what we are getting, right? So similarly, you can see here, you can see the data is changed. Application is app, application name is app, device name is Sodak1, and data is 6769, and number of packets received 1. So it has just received only 1 packet. Okay, and if we try to add another data, so if you turn on the device, and if the incoming data is flowing, so it will continuously the packet count will be increasing over here. Okay, so yeah, let's see. Now the front end is also set up. Okay, so remember this front end. Okay, we have this connected to this particular topic, right? But if you go to the module file, you can see this front end, it's connected to broker.hive.com, but we don't need this. Okay, because we have to connect to the local server, right? So now let's comment it. Okay, and uncomment this section. So this is for LoRa server. Okay, 192.168.0.103, that is our LoRa server, or LoRa server running on that particular Raspberry Pi module. Okay, and you can also yeah, you can also find, and you can also configure the port. So 1883 port is for normal MQTT port, and 1884 is for WebSocket. Okay, so here we have like 2 ports. So initially it is running in 1883, now it is running in 1884. 1884 is for WebSocket. Okay, so once the network is connected, you can see you can go to the console and check whether the device is connected or not. I'll show you the console. You can see yeah, here we have one single data. WebSocket connection 192.168.0.03 failed. Error in connection, something is connection refused. Okay, yeah, let's not consider those things, because I think the Mosquito server is running. I think Mosquito is not enabled. Mosquito's WebSocket connection is not enabled, I think. But anyway, we will get the data here. Okay, we will get the data. If we send the data, we will get the data in this particular window. Okay, because we have subscribed to the data. We have subscribed to every data using the hash topic. Okay, fine. Now let's try to upload the data again. Again, we are getting the error. One second. Let's try to debug the stuffs. Okay. One 103. And let it get compiled and let it get uploaded. Okay, let's come here and I'll copy these things for experiment purpose. Okay, in order to show you how things will work. Okay, so here application is 1 and device UI is there. Okay, so device address is here. Okay, we'll use this device address. Okay, we are given the topic and we can give the message. Fine. So now let's go here. Okay. So what I will do is it is not uploading. Okay. So basically, once the data is once the code is fed into the board, okay, so it will automatically connect to the server, because we have given the command like abp.join. Okay, it will connect to the server and it can start transmitting the data. Okay, but meanwhile, what I will do is I will send some mock data. Okay, to show you how things will work. Okay, let's come here. Okay, I'll be feeding in some mock data. So mock data is I will feed in the same data. So the same entire LoRaWAN packet I'll send it. Okay, I'll send it from the code. Okay, uh one second. So this entire data we can send it from the console. Okay, so I'm sending it from the console just to simulate how things will work. Okay, so you can see here you would have got the entire data payload. Okay, so you can see in the Rx window, it is continuously listening to the hash. Okay, you can see here it has got a new data within this range. And also if you go and see the data web uh, interface, okay, so your data will be uploaded. Okay, so as the incoming data comes in, okay, uh, I'll, I'll 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 push it one more time and I'll try to add it. Okay, so one second. Where is the constructor? Yes, constructor is here. Okay, so one second. I'll create a set interval for every few minutes. It will send the data to the server. So like that, we are configuring it. Okay, set interval. We have 10 more minutes. I'll finish it before that. Okay, let's create some function. And let's give some time, 5 seconds. Okay, so for every 5 seconds our a new data will be pushed into the LoRa packet. Okay, so LoRa packet dot push LoRa packet of 0. Okay, so once it is done, we can give the reload again. Okay, so in this case a new data will be pushed to the device every time. Like you can see the number of received packets keep on incrementing. Okay, so that way you can know a new data is entering into the server. Okay, fine. So yeah, you can see there is a new packet. Okay, so this new packet, just now we got it, and you can see another packet. So what will happen is as the this I'm just simulating it. So as the new data comes in, we are sending in the same data 6769 only. But as you send in new data, that new data will be keep on populating in the dashboard. Okay, so let's try to add it one more time. So here you can see this the gateway data is alone coming. I'll try to send another data. Okay, here I'm sending another data. One second. Yeah, I'm just sent it. It will take few seconds to receive at another end. Okay, we can see you have received this new packet. Okay, so your new packet will be in this format, and uh, wherever you have wherever you have used this MQTT to connect to it, your data will be incoming data will be in this format. From the data you should decode. Okay, from the data you should decode. We'll be writing some custom functions. Okay, some custom functions in JavaScript, and you should be able to decode. But generally in in production or developing this kind of application, it is not that a single person does all the thing, right? So board design will be developed by someone else, and the embedded programming will be done by someone else, and the LoRaWAN server setup and the protocol will be handled by someone else, and the front end will be developed by the someone else. Okay, but basically the end-to-end idea is like that. Okay, so now what is happening is, so it is not yet uploaded, but if it is uploaded, what will happen is, okay, I'll just give you a quick recap of how the end-to-end flow goes. Okay, um, yeah. So for every 5 second, okay, for every 5 second, this device will send the test payload. Okay, this test payload is what? This we have 68 and 69, which is the high message. Okay, this test payload, it will just send broadcast. Okay, broadcast in the sense it will be sending the data in a particular frequency using a particular spreading factor. Okay, you can see this in a particular frequency 6868100 with a particular data rate. So this data rate is what defines the spreading factor and other factors and all. For if you give data rate 0, then the spreading factor is maximum, which is 12. Okay, fine. And so once it is done, the data will be transmitted from the node. So on the other side, there will be sitting a gateway. So one or multiple gateway can receive the data. Okay, and the gateway will be giving in all the SNR, altitude, latitude, and longitude metadata to the packet. Okay, so now the gateway has the data. Now after the gateway, you have the gateway. Like I'll summarize over here. Okay, so I'll summarize over here. First thing is mm, microcontroller send data. Okay, the next is gateway. Okay, so in the gateway, what we have packet forwarder, FORWDR, packet forwarder, and gateway bridge. Okay, so this packet forwarder, it's responsible for converting the LoRa packet to UDP packet. Okay, and this gateway bridge will convert the UDP packet to MQTT packet and transmit to the network server. So on the next hop, there sits the network server. The network server does all sort of basic operation. Okay, like auth, uh, deduplicate. Okay, and finally you send it to the app server. Okay, from the app server, it is connected to the application, which is web app or mobile app. Okay, so from here to here, it is pure LoRa packet. From here to packet forwarder, it is UDP packet. From gateway bridge, from UDP packet, from gateway bridge to network server is MQTT packet. From network server to app server, it is gRPC packet. Okay, gRPC. And from app server to application, it is again MQTT packet. Okay, so that is how you develop an end-to-end system. I'll just write it again: LoRa to UDP to MQTT. Okay, to gRPC to again MQTT and again to the website or app. Okay, so that's how the end-to-end flow of things will happen. And similarly, if you want to give a downlink, what you can do is you can go here. Okay, you can go to the localhost, not localhost, it's chipstack here. Okay, and you can go to device profiles, not device profiles. You can go for applications. Okay, and you can go for app, and here you can choose this, and you can send in the downlink. So you can set the downlink port, let's say 5. Okay, and you can set some random port. I'll give some it should be greater than 0. It is a unique identifier to find the number of packets and all, and it has to be confirmed downlink. And you can give a base 64 encoded string. So MQ equal to stands for 1. Okay, so MQ equal to means 1. So, and you can give an NQ payload. So you can see device queue item has been created. So here the queue will be scheduled. So whenever there is an uplink from this particular device, this SODAC 1 device, this data will be sent in the downlink. So that's how you do the downlink with the class A devices. Okay. and the class B and class C works in a similar pattern. Okay, but this is how you do the downlink and do the uplink. Okay, so I think you would have it's still uploading. I think I don't know what is the problem with it. What I will do is to the organizing committee, I'll share all the code and the detailed tutorial. I've written a blog on it. I will share the blog and extra reading materials to you so that you can develop the application on your own. Okay, and also share few YouTube links where you can watch like rewatch how to upload stuffs and all. It will take like 10 or 15 minutes video, and you can implement all these stuffs on your own. Okay, yeah. So I think by now you got an idea about how to build an end-to-end application using LoRaWAN, because you have end devices, you have a gateway, you have network server, you have app server, and you have application. So everything is different component. Would have like installed on your own and connected one to another using different types of protocols. Okay, all these different types of protocols. Okay, so yeah, so that's pretty much about how LoRaWAN works and what is LoRa and LoRaWAN and all. Please drop your questions in the chat box. I'm open to answer. So any questions? Hello. Hello, Shaktivel sir.
Sir?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so I think I have covered what are all the things I have planned.
Yes, sir. It is the time
So,
for the participant to raise their queries, sir.
okay.
Shall I admit them to raise the question, sir?
Yeah, sure, sir. Yeah, so there are few questions coming in. I'll answer those questions. Give me a minute.
Sir, they can unmute and speak now.
Okay. Yeah. So participants can unmute and ask your queries.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Smita Pawar from Mumbai. Sir,
Okay.
your session was in depth, and we understood theoretically and practically also. But
Okay.
unless we do it, we won't be able to understand and realize what all problems we'll be facing. So my
Yeah.
doubt was later on, once we'll start with working on it, how can we contact you so that
Yeah.
if we get any doubt, we can get it
Yeah. At the end of
clarified.
the session, I'll share my details. You can reach out to me anytime. Okay. So that I'll share it to you, because the thing what are all I have covered so far, it is just to say 60%. Okay. So there are a lot more to it. So still even I am trying to, like, the protocol is evolving. It's a very new protocol, right?
Yes.
And if you want to reach out to me, you can reach out on this particular in contact information. I think screen is visible, I think.
Yes, sir.
uh,
Yes, yes.
yeah, you can reach out to me on my mobile or email or blog and LinkedIn as well, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. And we also got another questions. Can we use LoRaWAN for automation, right? So it is not suitable for home automation, because see, home automation, you will have a lot of appliances. Okay, you will have your fan, AC, and other appliances. Mostly because it is stable, right? It is not mobile. It is in one place, and you have a solid EB power line, so that you can go for Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. It will be more real time and more convenient. Because, but this LoRaWAN can be used for EB monitoring or else water meter monitoring, because EB, there will be a substation in your particular area, and powered using the that particular substation to monitor all these things from one place. Then you can deploy a LoRaWAN gateway. One second. You will deploy a LoRaWAN gateway in your electrical substation, and from there you can monitor all the EB meters. Okay, because there you cannot go for Wi-Fi anyway. Okay, so LoRaWAN, it's only for long range purpose, maybe in agriculture, animal tracking, geofencing, or else in this kind of application, you can use LoRaWAN. Anything else?
Hello.
Yeah, ma'am.
Hello. Sir, this is Ashwini Javadekar from PICT Pune.
Yeah, ma'am.
I wanted to ask, is there any simulation tool available? Because right now we don't have the hardware devices with us to work on practically. So
Yes, ma'am.
is there any like Tinkercad for this Arduino and Raspberry Pi also there is a simulation software. Is there any
Yeah, ma'am.
simulation
No,
for
ma'am. For LoRaWAN, we don't have simulation, ma'am, because the LoRaWAN itself, it's a 2-year-old protocol. It's just in 2017 only they have released worldwide, and there are certain tools there to calculate the radio frequency, to calculate the data rate and spreading factor and all, but there is no actual simulation tool. Maybe there is one module in NS3. You can install a plugin of LoRaWAN to NS3 and you can do something, but I don't know how good it would work. But no good, there is no good simulation tool available for LoRaWAN.
yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, but what you can do is, if it is Pune, then mostly you will be having some gateway in that region, or else if you want to buy your own gateway, there are cheap gateways available, like for 5,000 rupees and 8,000 rupees, and you can buy 1 or 2 nodes. And also you can request your college campus to buy a gateway for us, because most of the students can like make use of it and learn from it. Okay, but anyway, we need a gateway to build solutions using LoRaWAN.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Any other queries?
Hello. Good evening,
Hello.
sir.
Yes. Yes, sir. Good evening.
So this is from Satish Kumar, Chettinad College of Engineering Technology, Karu.
Okay, sir.
Sir, we have our own server in our college.
What, sir? You have?
We have our own server.
Okay.
Sometimes I have to try to send the data to my server. It is
Okay.
not receiving the data.
Okay.
We need to open any ports or what's the problem actually happens there.
You have a Ubuntu server.
We have a CentOS, sir. Cent, sir.
CentOS. Like, what is the
Yeah.
application running over there?
It's a web application, web server.
So it's a web server. Okay, so fine, sir. So you can call me on this number, sir. It is something out of LoRaWAN. I'll able to answer over call. Huh?
Oh, okay, fine.
Okay, sir. So please feel free to reach out to me. No issues.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else regarding LoRaWAN or IoT in common? You can ask your questions.
Yeah, related to IoT, okay, I send the informations through Raspberry Pi or some Wi-Fi devices. The
Okay.
informations, the packets are not sent to my server, especially.
So in the server, sometimes your server will be already having the code to receive the packet, or else you have to
Yeah,
write a server-side scripting as well, either
yeah,
in the
we
PHP
have
or
that code.
Java.
Okay, I have to write the code in PHP, and then I post in my server itself. Okay, I
Okay.
build the database, everything fine.
Okay.
But my packets are not transferred from my end to the server.
Yeah. So because there is a multi-op network. Like from the node, it goes to the router. From the router, it goes to the server. So check whether all your IP address and port address are configured as same. Because
That's
see,
why I'm
if you
asking if
are
I need
using in a
to
LAN
open it.
network, so your device, your Raspberry Pi and your server both has to be in the same sub network. Okay, if Raspberry Pi is 192.168.0.103, then your server must be in the same series, like 192.168.0.110 or 115, like that. So only then you will able to reach it.
Oh,
So yeah, you have to find like whether there is a route between the network or not, or else you have to do the port forwarding. So there are a lot of things in networking side you have to do that.
okay, sir. I will check that area.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
still now we are working on the Wi-Fi connectivities. Here, router, I will check the same.
Yeah. Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So anything else?
Sir, shall we wind up?
Yeah. Sure, sir.
Right, sir. Now, vote of thanks session, sir.
Okay.
Right. So, on behalf of AICT, Atal sponsored 5-day workshop on Internet of Things team, and as a coordinator of this 5-day workshop, I feel very proud in proposing the vote of thanks to the very young guy, Mr. Navaneet, for his wonderful contribution of 3 sessions today to the participant of this 5-day workshop. The first session is Introduction to LoRa and LoRaWAN, and second session is Hands-on LoRa server and the TTN and the chip stack, and third session is Building an end-to-end LoRaWAN application. Once again, I thank Mr. Navaneet for his wonderful contribution. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So again, thank you participants for listening patiently, and I hope you have got very good things and knowledge about LoRaWAN. So you can try on your own, and LoRaWAN and Sigfox and NB-IoT are emerging technologies or IoT only technologies. In the upcoming years, there will be a lot of products and solutions will be developed using these applications. Okay, so feel free to reach out to me. You can reach out to me on my number, email, or you can connect through my LinkedIn. Okay, so I'm happy to help. I'm been involved in a lot of educational activities associated with various institutions. If you need any support from our side, feel free to reach out to us. Thank you so much.
Dear participants, one more announcement. The feedback link for day 2 session is now in your WhatsApp group as well as in your email. Please don't forget to fill the feedback and submit to us. With this, we will end day 2 session. Tomorrow, sharply by 9:15, you are expected to join via this Zoom. Okay, thank you.